loud that she did this big thing. I think it was what, last session on making covers, and it wasn't recorded. It was,
Uh-oh.
but the point is, like I pointed out, she got the experience. Now she can go back and do it again and do it better. We weren't in the same room, so she couldn't throw anything at me.
I tried covers once. Didn't
I tried
didn't
covers.
work out too well.
I tried covers once too. Anybody in here is artistic? Hi, Mary. This is being recorded. Okay, we're going to put this on the internet and let the FBI check it out for suspicious activity. And if we're having too much fun, they may swoop down and just stop us. Pardon me. Unlike Michelle, who spent huge amounts of time preparing her presentation, I have very little. I have a lot of stuff I want to talk about. I'd like to talk about tonight, and but wait a minute. I keep getting distracted. Kevin wants to come in. Do we want to let Kevin in?
Well,
No.
yeah.
No,
Just
I
for
don't
a
think
minute or
so. Kevin, you're here on probation. I would like to discuss various things. Now, I'm going to ask for a show of hands. Yeah, we can have a show of hands. What editing program do you use when you? No, I can't see Kevin's hand, but he can talk. What editing program do you use? I use Audacity.
Yeah.
Here's my hand. There it is.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Kevin is
Audacity, yes.
Yes,
There's
Kevin,
Colleen. Oh, good.
okay. So it's everybody is using Audacity. I've been doing a lot of 1 minute. Well, I used to do 1 minute tests until all this move thing came up, and many people are using other platforms, or not platforms, things to do it, and it makes it so difficult. So anyway, Audacity is a wonderful tool. I'd like to talk a bit about editing in Audacity. By the way, Colleen, do you use Audacity to edit or not?
I do.
You do. Okay, well, we're unanimous here. What I want to talk about, I'm going to share my screen, is volume to start with. Volume is a mysterious thing. Let's see if I can share my screen. I have a great deal of, here we go. I'll do this one. You can see that.
Yeah. That's
Okay.
Kate.
Okay, here I am talking. This is a track that I have done. Every one of these lines here is where I paused or stopped to go get a sandwich or to go, to the hardware store to haul some more boxes. I edit using I call it the old-fashioned method of I'll record and then I'll come back and later, a week, whenever I have time, and start at the front. I call it the left-hand side, and work my way to the right, making sure everything is correct. I don't use the punch and roll. So I, nobody. Yeah, people care. People love the punch and roll.
Not me.
If you've done any editing, you'll probably know these terms. I think the more professional people, of course, Dave, you're professional, use punch and roll, but I don't. I like to take my time and slowly work my way through, correcting my mistakes, taking out the stuff and stuff like that. The volume. Now, I'm going to bring up something here. This is a keyboard. Look at that. Isn't that cool?
Keyboard?
When I
Didn't come up.
can you
Yeah.
see the keyboard?
No,
Yes, no.
just Audacity.
Nope.
I have an on-screen keyboard here. You can't see it.
No.
Well,
No.
That's right. We can't.
Maybe because it's not really projected. It's your virtual keyboard, so we can't see it. maybe.
What should I do? The virtual keyboard?
Well, maybe we can't see it because it's your virtual keyboard. I don't know.
Well, now that's anyway. I have a virtual keyboard up. So anyway, let's talk about volume. Many people, I have trouble explaining what your volume is low or your volume is high. I'm going to zoom in a little bit here. My keyboard went away. I'm using my keyboard shortcuts, which I will discuss in just a minute. Someone recently, I think an audio engineer, explained he said, why do y'all use 89 decibels as your benchmark, the thing you shoot at? And I had to answer, I don't know. I said, I do know that decibels are a logarithmic thing. In other words, they're just simply a measure of how loud something is. And I said, it's just something we've used for many years. And maybe, I said, I personally don't know. I think it's a volume that people have found they can listen to, like on a subway or, riding their bike, or it's a good volume. Well, he did some research and he thinks that it's a percent of what's something called the 0 decibel scale. 0 decibel scale. If you see how these peaks go up here, if they were to go all the way up to the 1 or all the way down, that would be 0. There'd be no more ability to amplify that at all. So it's how far, it's a percentage of the 0 decibel scale. Like 89, it would be 89% of that scale. And I said, well, that makes sense. Does any audio engineers here?
Yeah, I was going to say that the volume we record at doesn't necessarily affect the volume people listen at, except that, like you were saying, what we record at limits the range that you can crank it up or down.
But you can see we have to give them a sufficient volume to listen to, I suppose, and they can listen louder or softer, which brings us to normalization. I used to hear this word a lot. We can normalize this little thing here. And here it says to -2 decibels. Is everybody with me on this?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. If I click that, it changed it a little bit. Looks like it made it a little bit louder. Normalization is used apparently, and a lot of people, when they do their ACX stuff, their professional stuff, they will normalize it, which means make it as loud as you possibly can and yet have no clipping. That's my understanding of what normalization does. We don't do that here. But I got curious about that, and I just researched it, and it seems to cause distortion because normalization basically amplifies everything. It'll bring everything up. I'm gonna put this at 0.
Which is strange, Phil, because usually we use normalization just to get rid of DC offset.
Well,
unless you use the gizmo in the middle and set a value to it.
You have to set a value. If you
Yeah.
set it to 0 dB, see how loud it made it? In other words, it made it as loud as it possibly could go without distortion, without clipping at the top or bottom. Apparently, when you put it to -2 or -3, it brings it down to about 89 decibels. Okay, so I do not use this. I do not use this. What was I going to talk about? Yes, I was going to talk about volume. I just brought that up. We use replay gain. Oh, some people use replay gain. Replay gain is an effect.
I use it all the time
Yeah.
Who said?
Likewise.
for everything.
Well, Bill, you do?
Yeah.
Bill and Kevin.
So in other words, you just take your whole track and you go to replay gain. If y'all can't see this, I apologize. And you see how it says normalize? or
Well-
analyze?
Well, you analyze first.
Analyze. Okay. Now you notice here it says adjust normalized output. Well, let's just look what see what it's going to do. No, we're not. That's too much of a sample. Apparently, replay gain is really heavy on your stuff here. Replay gain is, for those that don't know, is an effect. So here's the replay gain level of 0.3, which would mean, Bill, I'm assuming you guys that use this, I would have to amplify this by 0.3 decibels. Is that correct?
Well, I would then do the normalize, and it adjusts it automatically based on the analysis that I've
So
just
you-
done.
Normalize. And it just simply adjusts it to about 89 decibels.
Presumably, that's the standard for the effect in Audacity. And presumably that's why we have that sweet number of 89. But I'm only guessing.
Apparently you can set this for what you want. Kimiarda,
Yes, sir.
what we're talking about here, and you may not know, is that when you export a track and send it in to LibriVox, it's supposed to be around 89 decibels. That's what we call it.
Mhm.
And getting to that level is very difficult for some people. Finding where it is, whether it's too high or too low. Us that have done many of these, what I do is I use my eyes. I estimate. I look at my track, and I usually use my little start button here, which brings up this envelope, and it shows me that my peaks are hitting a little bit above 0.5, which is about where I want them. Sometimes, like for example, you see over here, can y'all see my recording volume?
Mhm.
My recording volume should be at 6.68. That's where I record. But for some reason, Audacity will kick it all the way down. I'll start recording. I'll look at my track, and I can tell instantly that something's wrong. I don't have to measure it. I can tell that it ain't working right. And it's not working right too. For example, if I record, and now I'm recording, you see how I'm recording at a much lower level. I could just see that and say, whoops, that ain't right. That's incorrect. And I would cut that out. Okay. So volume, we may have an answer as to why we use 89 decibels, is that it's a percentage of the 0 decibel scale. Okay. Anybody have any feedback on that or any feelings on that?
I have a take on that, Phil.
Yep.
That we pick 89, and if everybody does that, then when you have a book that has multiple chapters by multiple readers, the listeners don't have to jump to their volume control when you go to a new chapter, because it won't be much louder or much quieter when you move to the next person.
Well, that's consistency. Yeah, we want consistency, but we could have picked 90, 92.
Yeah.
But you're right. You want consistency. I hate it. I
Okay,
watch
guys.
these.
I went in and looked at the code on GitHub for LibriVox and found that there was a program which was linked to, so I could go and get it myself, called MP3 Gain.
Yeah.
And I select a bit of the, I drag my finished file into MP3 Gain. It analyzes it just like you did here just a few minutes ago, and suggests a value for the amplify, like a minus 0.2 or a plus 3.0, and amplifies it so that the output file has a volume of whatever I have specified. I put mine at 90, not 89.
Oh. Well,
Look
that's
at-
basically what the checker program does too, right?
No,
That
No,
just
it-
tells you where it's at. It doesn't tell you how to fix it.
I've
No.
seen MP3 gain. Is that a tool?
It's a separate program. It's an exe file, just like Checker is an
Oh.
exe program.
So you would drag your MP3 file into there, run MP3, run that program, and it would automatically adjust it to 90.
Yep. First, it would show you what it is, and then it would give you a value by which it must be adjusted. You click the adjust button, and it does it.
Okay,
Well, that's convenient.
it's a good. Yeah, I've heard of that program, and I think I had it at one time, but obviously in switching computers, I lost it somewhere down the road.
Well, tell me,
Bill?
may I ask a question about when we do 1 minute tests and PLing and whatnot? I will run a file through the checker program, and if it comes up as 79 in checker, then I'll just tell them to, add, 10 dB or, whatever brings us up to, that magic. I'll normally give a range, but whatever brings us to that magic standard. And that works, doesn't it?
Who's that? Dave?
Yeah.
Who was talking?
Kevin
was-
was talking.
That was me with the hand up.
Yeah.
It was Kevin.
Oh, I'm sorry, Dave.
No, I don't do
Um,
that.
But
So, okay, the comment was that in checking 1 minute tests, if they're 10 decibels low, you would tell them like go in and amplify by 10 decibels. Is that correct?
Right, based on what the checkered value is.
Okay, I don't do that, and I may not be right. My idea is that for them to increase their gain instead of relying on amplify, because if they amplify the same file they sent in, it's they're not going to be fixing their recording setup. In other
Right.
words, they need
right.
to, in my opinion, they need to amplify the gain on the microphone or
So
use Audacity to figure out where they need to set the gain so that they get a good solid thing so that they
so
don't.
I I should be more specific then and say not just to amplify, but to amplify through the gain,
Well,
which means re-recording, right?
yeah, I always ask
Yeah.
them to do test 2.
Yeah.
Do
Oh,
it.
yeah.
Now, I don't know if I'm right or not. It just seems to me that once they get understand what gain is, which
Right,
is
right.
hard, then they'll know they don't have to amplify and kick up that background noise at the same
all
time.
the
That's
time,
just
all the time. No, you're right. You're right. I learned something. This is great.
okay. Well, like I say, I do a lot of those. Colleen has her little hand up. Yes.
I have a question about the gain. I normally have to set my gain at like 94 to get 88 to 89 on recording. So is there something wrong with my setup that I need to set it that high?
No, not at
Colleen,
all.
Those
Wait a minute.
numbers.
How
that
do I
94
stop sharing? Well, you have gain on the back. I have a microphone where I have a little gain button right here.
Uh-huh.
Can't see it. Okay, I have to kick that up almost all the way. I have a little old Zoom thing, and you see that I use 68.
Yeah. Okay. I've like got the rinky dink microphone front that was like $20 at Amazon. So it doesn't have its own setting.
And you have to adjust your gain. If you have to use 98, I don't see anything wrong with that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Whatever works.
Okay.
Yeah,
It just startled me that yours was like so much lower than mine. I was wondering, but
Well-
having gain on the microphone as well as on the computer makes sense. Thank you.
Yeah, it depends on your microphone. It depends on how loud you talk. It depends on how close you are to the mic.
Right.
And those numbers, the number in Audacity on the volume slider is totally arbitrary.
Yeah. It just, I mean, to me, it's not, I mean, it's not totally arbitrary because the higher you go, the louder you sound, right? But watch this. I mean, is my voice getting any louder? Yes, it
Oh, yeah.
is.
Right,
Wow.
yes.
Okay.
It's Einstein's relativity.
Well, audio is so subjective, but anyway, I want to talk about, oh good, microphones is later on. I want to talk about keyboards. Your keyboard and my keyboard, and forgive me if you guys know all this stuff, but you have keyboard shortcuts. The main one, for example, is if you press your space bar. The space bar starts and stops your Audacity. It's basically a shortcut key. When I edit, I have my left hand. I can't show you my keyboard, can I? Dang it. I'm so proud of myself. uh, well, you can't see. But anyway, I have my left hand sitting on my keyboard and my right hand on the mouse. This is how I edit. And I use shortcuts. One, I use the space bar. I use R, which is when I come back and I sit down, I have my cup of coffee or whatever, and I want to start recording again. I just press R, and it picks up right where I left off. And hello there. And when I press space, it stops. So I'm using my left hand all the time. One function that I use all the time is zoom. Wow, look at the background noise in here. Is zoom in and zoom out. As you know, there's a zoom in and a zoom out. Let's see what other keyboards. You can modify what keys do what by going to your preferences.
Yeah.
Did y'all see what I just did? Anybody care?
I don't have good enough memory to keep track of them all, to tell you the truth.
Well, I only have a few, and I'm never going to change them because I have it burned into my memory now. I can increase volume. I mean, I can add 2 decibels. I can take 3 decibels away. I can zoom in, zoom out. I can cut and do all kind of things very quickly. This is your keyboard. I guess you could say locked in key bindings. Thank you. There's a name for it. I have A, since my hand is resting on here. I zoom it in, and guess what S is? S is a zoom out. I got to put my, whoops, I got this open. I can't do anything right now. I can zoom in and zoom out. I said, oops, there's a little button there. I want to cut that, and I can cut that out. Well, I don't have them amplified here. What I just did I lose everybody?
We're here. I'm here.
We're here.
I'm here. I'm yeah, I kind of feel embarrassed because I know that some of this is so old hat to people. Let's see if my auto hotkeys is running. Yes, there's a little H down here that says, yep, it's running. If I highlight a part and I press my 2 keys, it doesn't, yeah, it cuts out that section. It does a bunch of things. But anyway, I have my A key, zoom in, zoom out, A and S. That is how I have it bound. I'm never going to change that because of the way I like to edit. That doesn't mean anybody else has to like to edit.
What else do you have? What else do you use still? Cut
well,
or delete or
the biggest thing I got here. I use auto hotkeys. Of course, the Z key, for example. If I want to cut something and
right.
and I want to cut this out, I'm gonna zoom in, and I will try to find. Well, let me get rid of this thing. I'll go back to that. I want to find where the and the C key. Now the C key. Let's go with the C key first of all. If there is a section that I want to cut out, I'm gonna record, and then he didn't do anything. Now, if I said, I want to cut that out, I can listen to that. I'll press the C as in Charlie key. I can hear this, the sound of the spacing, and I would say that's not quite right. That's closer to what I want until it sounds right. And at that point, I use an auto hotkey, which will cut out this section. Well, it will first of all find the Z crossings. Then it will cut it out, and then it will back up a few spaces. Let me see if I can do that now. Naturally. It didn't cut it out. That was it. Okay, I was pressing the wrong key. So it cuts it out, finds the Z. Well, I haven't discussed the Z spots yet. I used this. I'd hate to say how many times in every track that I edit, cutting out things that shouldn't be there. I'm going to cut this little section out. I just thought that was too much space there. So let's go back to the preferences, keyboard. Now, if anybody is interested in how do you actually do that, you have to, for example, the period key here will jump your cursor to the right. Let me see if I could do that here. Well, I'm not in there. All of these things. Here's my C key. Okay, never mind. Quit bother. Control all. I have very, very few that I've changed. Let me see. I've done I left the R key alone. As you know, the R key now adds on to your recording. I use Control S. I use most of these the way the default. I do have a Control F, which puts my track into one. Whoa, I didn't want to do that. I can see the whole track. Wow, that looks kind of messy, doesn't it? But that's okay. You have to understand, I was recording this in the midst of a move, trying to keep my sanity. I use recording to keep me sane, folks. I really do. I settle. It gives me a chance to step away from all the baloney that's going on and sit down and read a story and tell a story to somebody. I don't have my little dolls here, but I tell my story to my little dolls, and it calms me down. It really does. Not that I'm that nervous. Okay, so the thing I wanted to talk about was change your preferences. If there's anything that you do constantly, do that. Now that leads me directly into the next thing, which is auto hotkeys. Auto hotkeys. As I have the auto hotkeys. Oh, look at all my stuff on here. I'm not going to show you all that because I can't do it. Mary raises her hand. And somebody's got a hat. Oh, okay. I'll be with you guys in a minute. And girls, stop share. Does anybody else use auto hotkeys?
I don't know what they are.
No,
Okay.
I use hotkeys. More to remember.
Auto hotkeys is a tiny program. It's basically programming. You're telling Audacity to do certain things in a certain sequence. For example, instead of having to, wait a minute, somebody wants to come in. Instead of having to find my Z keys manually, we'll go back to my nodding donkey here. Instead of having to find my Z keys, press my Z. I want to cut this out here. here to here, and zoom. And instead of having to zoom in, I mean, I would highlight what I want to take out. You're hearing some of my weirder voices there. If I wanted to cut this out and make it kind of match, it automatically, when I press my caps lock and D, it doesn't, believe me, it's very easy. It's right there by my left hand. It cuts that out. Like I said, it finds my Z, so I have a nice clean cut. And then it cuts it out. It goes back, and then it puts me back to the same zoom I was at before. And then it moves me back about a second.
Well, it's scripting, is that right? I mean, that's another term, I think.
Say
Yeah.
again?
Or macros.
Macros or scripting. I remember learning it as scripting, where you could kind of program your machine or your program. You could give it steps.
Yes,
And then
I have.
and then it would perform them without you having to think about it.
Yeah, for example, suppose this is a low. I find that's too low. I can kick that up 2 decibels just by pressing my caps lock and the number 2. It kicks it up. If I want to decrease it by 3, I can undo that again. A lot of things, all you're doing is you're chaining them. You're doing a macro. Speaking of macros, you can make your own macro with this.
Oh, wow.
With this, for example, when I have a lot of noise in my old house. It was really, really bad. If I wanted to run noise reduction, you'd have to do this. Come up here to Effect, Noise Reduction, get your profile, go over here, collect the whole track, go to Effect, go to Noise Reduction. Actually, let's say about 13. Do it, and it would do the whole track that way. But I don't have to do that.
Wow.
Did I do it? Okay. I can do this. And I just have a tool, apply macro, noise reduction, and it does it automatically. It's just simply a chain. I tell it to do first of all, I tell it to that's my sample, and then it'll say select the whole track, and then I'll run noise reduction, and it does it for me.
That's
This is
tremendous. That's great.
Well, this is an hour-long track, so it's now. How do you do that? You can make a new macro. It's easy. Yippee! Okay, we'll call it Yippee, and you insert from the edit the thing up here. What do you want? Suppose I want to select whole track. You find that on here, select those, put that in there. Then you want to amplify it by 2. You tell it, and it will build you a script up here. Let's say, move my cursor left, then increase gain. I don't know what you want to call it here. Increase gain, whatever you want to do. You can tell us what you do. Make a list. Let's go to how do I choose whole track? Noise reduction. I don't know. And then finally move back, pan right, or whatever. And once you get that, it's going to put them in here. And then when you click on Yippee, it'll run that macro for you. I like auto hotkeys because it's I guess because I'm more used to it.
Does auto hotkeys have the thing where I think it was like a camera button where you have it watch you do a sequence and then it generates the script that way?
No, it does not. Auto
There's
hotkey.
There was a
Does not have
program like
macro
that
record.
that I used a million years ago that was like that. It was like it was like watches you do the sequence and generates the macro that way.
Auto hotkeys, you're actually programming in a way you
Mhm.
tell it what to do. If you go to their website, like I say, it's the whole program is like 3 megabytes. It's tiny.
Mhm.
And then you have to, and then you put in stuff. Now I've done this for other people. I'll send them my script. I have 5 or 6 things that I have programmed, like increase by 2, decrease by 3, delete the things that I like that I have set up, and they can pick and choose what they want. Um, but I use it, like I say,
Add 5 seconds of silence, for instance.
that I hadn't thought about. You could you could just set that up, and you set it up once, and then when you're finished with your track, add 5 seconds of silence, or add anywhere.
Now you're talking about LibriVox macros, but when you're talking about auto hotkeys, that is a separate program that works with every program. It just intercepts the interrupt service routine for your keyboard entry, and then inserts what other
Mhm.
commands you want to have. But it is for every program.
Thank you.
And you should be a little careful. If you use it for LibriVox, some of the things you have it do that you intend to go to LibriVox could go to your Excel. And bad stuff can happen. I had a client who couldn't remember his uh, uh, email password. So I just said, all right, just X, and by George, it typed in his password. Okay.
You're right. It goes for every program. And people use it for everything. I like for Excel, which to move around Excel sheet. I only use it for LibriVox, and hopefully I've never destroyed any data with it. Boy, look at my lighting. I look like and
It
now
looks good, Phil.
creeping
I like
out
that.
of the no, okay. Okay, folks. Normalization, maximum pack, replay game. I want to talk about microphones. Somebody said we should talk about microphones. Because Bill was nice enough to go through. By the way, how's everything going, Bill? Okay. You were nice enough to go through the Need Help forum and look for things that people asked a lot. And this was one of the things, which was, what do I do for a microphone? Especially newer people. They're always, this is one of the first questions they ask. Everybody here will, Kim Yarda's new, but she has a great microphone already, apparently. I think that's a studio mic you've got. It looks like something that would to go in a recording studio.
See,
No, I don't know.
it's a little pricey.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard that name, and it's always associated with big bucks. Well, good. So you have, is that
Is it a Bose?
no,
No, it's a
no, Sim something?
uh Sennheiser, Sennheim.
Sennheiser.
That's it, Sennheiser.
Good
Yeah.
brand.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
an
that is fancy.
now. Do you have to have a mixer board for that, or something like do a preamp for it?
Yes, I
Okay.
have to have I have the I don't know, I learned all of this because I had to go buy it. But I have to plug it in, to change the analog to the digital and all that stuff. So it has a couple more parts other than the microphone, but
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
it goes into
So
the computer.
you won't have any trouble with gain because you have built-in. You can probably kick
Yeah.
the gain up as much as you want. So man, you all ready for voiceover work? That's great. You got
Yeah, I'm
everything.
trying.
Have you been to any classes?
I actually just got a coach this past week, and we have our
Oh.
first class tomorrow. So
Oh, well, you pass it
Good
on.
luck.
thank
Hey.
you.
Cool.
Practice.
Oh yeah, I'm excited to practice.
Microphones. I'm going to say I have 2 rather expensive microphones. I have a Rode and another one. It's really good, but I've come back to my
Yeti.
what is it? The old USB Blue Yeti. Because the other ones I had to have have this big mixer board and all this weird stuff, and it turned out to be that I got a lot more noise and not as good quality as I did with this one. So I'm back to this one. This is called a USB. You just plug it plug right straight into my computer, and I record. Anybody else have a different type of mic?
I have an AKG, and that just has a cigar-shaped tube plugged into USB for phantom power. And it's, there it is.
What's that again? I'm sorry.
I feel so inadequate.
I was reading the chat. Yes, it is actually. Who feels inadequate?
I won't admit it.
Okay.
Kevin,
It's
It
Kevin.
was Kevin.
Well,
Kevin uses a megaphone.
he uses a tin can
Tin cans.
and a string. Okay, Kevin.
Very expensive string though.
Well, now, look, Rich, you have an interesting mic there. What is
It's
that?
a Shure mic.
It's a Shure.
It's a vocal mic for bands and stuff like that. And then I have a little preamp for it
Okay.
that goes into USB.
So it's a dynamic. Okay.
It's a dynamic, and it's cardioid, and I use it really close, as you can see. I'm working really close, and when I get really, really close, it brings out the bass.
It sure does. Very nice. That's like a singer. You ought to burst into song there. Okay, that's great. I guess so we have Colleen, yes?
Just a quick microphone question. Do you find that the cardioid ones pick up less background noise? Because it only picks the loudest thing? Because I deal with a pretty good amount of background noise, and there's not much I can do to muffle it. I've got old windows, and I'm right near an airport. When it's cloudy, I've got rumble from the planes, and I've got people driving by my house with loud motors, and a train about 2 blocks away. So I'm constantly, when I'm recording, I'm stopping and starting and waiting for the noise to die down. And cardioid is what I understand it, like picks the loudest thing and only focuses on that.
You're talking about pattern. That's different. A cardioid pattern. In other words, microphones are built like you have omnidirectional where they pick up all around. They have ones where they just, well, a cardioid is basically like, maybe you can't see it. Yes, you can see that. It's a heart shape. Thank you. It's like a heart, meaning it's more right here. That's what I always use to eliminate the noise from the back. But
so does that type of microphone help with the issues that I'm talking about? Oh,
sure.
Yeah.
But that's not a type of microphone. That's a type of pickup pattern.
Okay. Well, I'm asking because of the that's the way the microphones are described in Amazon. I was looking at it's not a Blue Yeti, but it's a Blue Yeti knockoff.
Cardioid is very common. And
I think
I've seen a little video that National Public Radio did, and their reporters, when they're out in the field recording in a hotel room, they claim they tend to make a little pillow fort around their microphone.
Right.
That absorbs some of the background noise, and everything around the microphone except the front of the mic has pillows around it.
So basically creates that pattern without.
Yep.
My understanding is like the Blue Yeti type mics are designed to do that automatically.
A lot of mics are. If I move around to this side of the mic, it gets quieter. And
right.
When Phil turns his mic around, it gets quieter.
I can pick what pattern I want.
Yep.
The Blue Yetis actually have 2 or 3 mic heads in here.
Okay.
But I could pick which one. Now you have dynamic mics and you have what other type? Condenser mics. You have 2 different types of microphones. Now I knew this because a long time ago, I went to a class in college about audio in theaters. I was, and I remember them making that. I didn't understand, but I remember that there's two different basic types of mic. This is a dynamic mic. In other words, oh well, I'm not going to go into all of it. We're not interested. The knockoff. Let me tell you one thing about the. I know what you're talking about. I ordered one and from Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
It looks exactly like a Blue Yeti,
Mm-hmm.
but I sent it back. The quality was fine, but I could not get any gain out of it. It gave me very low volume. It just didn't give me any punch at all. I kicked my Audacity up to 100, and it still wasn't giving me enough gain. I don't know if that's
The brand that I'm looking at is I don't know how to say it. It's Fine. Fifine.
oh I
That's the
don't
kind of mic that I have.
I've heard
That's
that those are really good.
yeah. Like I said, my little starter one that was like $20 is that brand. So the Blue
Oh,
Yeti
that's
looking
nice.
one that's that same brand. That's what I'm looking to upgrade to. But I don't want to spend the money if it's not going to solve some of my problems.
Oh,
Hey, I've
Bill's-
been listening to your recordings and I think they're fine
yeah.
as they are now.
Well, yeah, but I have to, like I said, I have to stop and start and stop and start.
because
like
of the
if it-
background
You're
noise.
right. Yeah,
if-
I don't know if you can solve that without having a kind of noise
Yeah.
shed or whatever they call it.
Yeah. Well, I'm just hoping if it's focusing in one direction, it'll pick up less. The planes are a particular pain in the butt when it's cloudy.
Oh, that's terrible. Yeah.
I mean,
that-
I could literally walk to the runway of the Atlanta airport
oh my
from my
gosh.
house.
Wow.
Yeah. And
So
to
sorry.
get there, I would have to actually cross the railroad that runs straight through the middle of town.
Well,
So-
you do amazing work considering that. That is I'm impressed.
So
So
I've
Now-
learned that there's a few things that I thought I had to work around that actually don't pick up.
Have you thought about moving?
I'll be back in a second, folks.
We just bought this house 2 years ago, so I don't think we're moving anytime soon. But it's in I don't know if you guys are familiar with Georgia at all, but it's Hapeville, which is like I said, it's literally like right next to the airport. That's where Delta is based, and there used to be a giant Ford plant. That's why the train runs right through the middle of town, which is used to be Ford, now it's Porsche. And if you've seen the Avengers movies after they moved out of the tower in New York, when they moved out to the country, the Porsche plant that's a couple blocks from my house is Avengers headquarters, which is kind of cool. Going out
That
for
is
breakfast and looking
cool.
over and being like,
That is cool.
There's a selling point.
They can hear me.
yeah. The biggest problem with our house actually is that
Oh,
the windows are old.
I'm
That we
back.
got the old single pane windows, and I'm after my wife and our other housemate to agree to change the windows out, but they like the look of them.
Oh,
And I'm like, you like the look of them, but I can't stand the thickness of them. So I think if we had double glazed windows, that would solve a lot of my problems too.
You could probably
create-
get the windows in the style they like. I would bet.
Yeah.
Double glazed, but the look that they like.
Yeah, I don't know.
You could rig something up where you could create a second pane. Maybe if there's room on a windowsill or something.
Yeah, there's not that much room. I've thought about the other issue is this little room that I have is my recording studio, my craft room, and my home office / writing space, which is like especially crowded right now since I can't go anywhere else to do any of those things. Like normally I would take my computer and go to the library and stuff, but I can't right now. So.
Right.
So I'm kind of working around that. I can't really like put foam on the walls or build a little studio. I've been trying to figure out how to do it. Anyway.
Well, I want to, as I've been saying, we've been moving. We're still in the process of moving. I had my whole family out there with all our cars hauling junk. Anyway, in this new house, I have a room now.
Mm.
And I have these sound You can't see them, can you? I have these sound deadening curtains on the wall. In fact, one of them back of me here. You can't see it. They're black. You can't see it. They're big, heavy, sound deadening curtains I bought years and years ago. I got them on the walls, and in the back of me, I have a little bass trap, and it's helped me. But I'm blessed.
Yeah.
My environment is 100% better than
you
it
can
was
see
before.
my little. It's
Oh,
just
I see your
a-
curtain. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a quilt on top of a bookcase that
And-
just kind of deadens things a little bit. And my bedroom door's open right now, but when it's closed, there's another blanket that's draped over it. Somewhere I've got blackout curtains from when I was a cop, and I was thinking about putting them on the windows because I thought that might deaden the sound a little bit.
Yeah, I got mine over the window here, but
Mhm.
working in environments that are noisy, of course, Bill knows that this is one of the common problems. We live in a very noisy world. We
Yeah.
got televisions and everything, airplanes and trains, and
Lawnmowers.
trucks.
I gotta- I
yeah.
gotta say, I was PLing a book by a woman who lives in the Philippines, and she's got no choice but to have her windows open. And I actually really kind of liked the little bird song and stuff that would creep in sometimes. I mean, it doesn't sound like a professional audiobook, but it was nice.
That's nice. Well, okay. I don't know what to say about ambient noise and noisy environments. We do the best we can. All the advice that was mentioned about that is good. Mhm.
Okay.
But you sound great. I've listened to something. It's good stuff.
Thank you. It's a lot of editing. It's
Yeah.
like if I realize that I didn't notice a car or a plane that was particularly rumbly, I'll re-record a phrase and cut it in and stuff like that. I'm kind of a perfectionist with that. It takes me a lot longer to edit than it should.
That was another question that had come up in with new people asking, how long what is the ratio between a 10-minute section? How long is it? Maybe y'all saw the forum post on that. And it was this guy.
It really depends.
Yeah.
Sometimes
I apologize for what I said.
What were you the one with the spouse? What did you say?
I pretended that I speak very rapidly and that that I actually edit
Yeah.
less than the recording length.
It was less.
Yeah, it made no sense.
Flippant, but this gentleman, or a woman, I don't know, had an elaborate setup where they would edit and re-edit and have their spouse proof it and go back and edit again.
Oh gosh,
Right.
no, they don't need to do all that.
Right.
I mean, and then somebody came back, was it an old hand at LibriVox that apparently has an even more complex system of proofing and doing it perfect. Maybe it was you, but some of us are more perfectionistic than others. I take okay.
Hey,
Yeah, I'm not at all. And honestly, my standards are a lot lower for when I'm proof listening than for myself. Like I hear people, change words or stumble or a little background noise or something gets in, and it doesn't bother me at all as a listener, but it bothers me when it's my own thing enough to like fuss over it.
Oh, well, yeah, me too. I'll accept a lot less from myself than I will from other people. Okay. Yeah. Cool. And we haven't even gotten into proof listening yet. You may want to think about that. By the way, Kim Yard is new. She's excited. I can tell she's ready to rock and roll. Have you been in our forums lately? Have you browsed our forums?
I've seen a couple. I'm excited about the knitting forum because I love to knit.
Oh,
so I'm
really?
super excited about that one.
That's a hot item, I think.
Oh yeah, I love it. I have so much yarn. I have to tell myself, you do not need any more yarn. Don't buy any more. You don't need
it. Sure you need more yarn. You always need more yarn.
My husband would kill you for saying that to me right now.
My sister, oh gee, I mean, you never have enough yarn. You don't know what I'm doing. I'm trying to pause. I'm screen share. Stop that. I was trying to go to our forums and run over some of the interesting ones. We have tons of interesting forums. That was another topic. Maybe we can cover it later on. Is which forums do you go to all the time?
I spent a lot of time on the forums before I got nervy enough to start actually recording. I was probably reading them for about a year before I worked myself up to actually trying it.
A year? You just browsed?
Well, I kept on thinking about, like, I'd see projects and I'd want to jump in on them, but I didn't have a setup and all that kind of stuff. And I had to go back and forth with, like, am I actually going to do this before I invest the money in it? Am I going to stick to it? And I'm addicted now. That's why I'm like thinking about upgrading stuff.
Yeah,
That's
upgrade.
awesome to hear. Yeah.
What,
I think
Mary?
it would be worthwhile to upgrade.
Oh, absolutely. Well, what about your forums? Which forums do you go to?
I go to the Launchpad just about every time I log in, just to see what the new projects are. And if I
There's
see
something
one
you
that
wanna
catches
jump in
my eye, I bookmark it and follow it to see, you know, like if it's filling up really fast and I'm not going to be able to clear my decks enough to jump in on it, then I'll take it back out of my bookmarks. And then, you know, then I follow the progress on the books that I'm interested in. And I usually check, Launchpad I check every day. I check suggestions a couple times a week. And I check in on the chatty boards at the bottom of the page, like probably about once a week. I always like kind of cringe when I open up the one board that's got the obituaries. I'm like, don't let the date be updated. Don't let the date be updated.
Oh, you go to that board. Oh, I avoid that board. Gosh.
Well, I mean, I don't particularly look for that, like want to check on that topic, but when I open that board, since it's a pinned thing, it's like right there. So I always like peek at it. I just glance at it to make sure that the date hasn't changed on the last post.
Interesting. I have to admit, I basically rely on my email notifications. In other words, stuff that's going on in the boards. When you go to a board, it remembers you, or you post something, then it will. Anytime anybody posts in that board, I'll get an email, and it will say new email in listeners wanted forum or something like that. I rely on that very strongly to keep track of what's going on with my stuff. I don't go to any particular board. I do have all of my projects bookmarked.
Mm-hmm.
Project I'm BCing, the project I'm MC for, the projects I'm soloing or whatever, and I will run through that every couple of weeks to find out that, whoops, I missed that claim.
I don't want to get any more emails than I already get from everything else in the world. So I do what you do, but I use the bookmark so that the notifications are inside. And then I just check in on the site a couple times a day and look at what the notifications are saying.
Here we
Like,
go.
I've got all the fun threads bookmarked too, like the anagrams one and the was it not acronyms? The acronyms and the don't you hate it when and don't you love it when. I've got all those bookmarked too. So when something fun's going on.
How do you know if you are addicted to LibriVox? Yep. Now I'm gonna see if I can do this here. I want to share my screen. Share my screen.
So, I've been running my mouth. How about you guys? What boards do you like?
They're very quiet. Oh, we need to talk about Zoom before we go any further. This is the last scheduled Zoom meeting. Michelle Fry, who most of y'all know, wants to do some more, and we're working on switching. Oh golly, how can you put it? The the quote, the LibriVox Zoom subscription to allow other people to use it. Now, I realized I've worked very hard to find out that I can't do the credentials thing. They won't allow me to. You can't swap. Can't give your credentials to people. Whatever. I have recently sent out all of the information, my password, to several people. Bill, you're one of them, of course, to see if they can use that to get into it.
I
We
didn't
have.
get anything like that, Phil.
You didn't get it? Oh, I'm
No.
sorry. I sent it as a PM, a private message.
I'll check.
Okay. I hope you.
Sometimes if it's an email, I don't know if PMs do it, but sometimes if you're sending a password in an unencrypted environment, it won't go through. Like if the mail program picks up that you're trying to send a password.
Well, this is a PM inside LibriVox. I sent it to Michelle, I sent it to Bill, I sent it to Tricia. Anybody I could think of that might be interested in doing it. We need to try whether you can do it. Bill, if you didn't get it, I'll check my box once we close this down
Okay.
to see if you got it. I sent every possible information that I can have. I even had to make up a password. I was signing in with Google, and then so I had to go in and back and make up a password. But I made up a password. I'll even tell y'all my password, but not in public. So
Well,
down
I've
to-
got a suggestion.
yeah. Mhm.
Anyone can establish a Zoom account and have a 40-minute session. Isn't that the case, or is that a
Yeah.
temporary matter?
No, that's true.
That's true.
And,
Absolutely.
I enjoy, I probably talk too much, but I certainly enjoy being part of the community. And you can do a lot in 40 minutes. It doesn't have to be a lengthy discussion from one point to another. It could just be one topic. And we just announce it and we launch it and we do it for 40 minutes.
Absolutely. I
This
strongly.
session has been going on for 1 hour, 5 minutes.
Right.
Really? Golly, and I thought I wouldn't have anything to talk about.
We know better.
And we haven't even touched on our forum. This is our forum. Look at our magic forum. Okay, getting back to Zoom. Well, no, I'm not going to get back to Zoom. I'm going to stop share so y'all can see me. There. This is the last session. We about 6 weeks ago, we agreed, 8 weeks ago, we agreed to do 3 more sessions. Adrian did one, Michelle did one, and I agreed to do the third one. Since then, no one has stepped forward to say they wanted to do any more. Michelle wants to do some more. She wants to redo her cover thing, which I encouraged her to do. And so as of this time, this is the last Zoom, but anybody, like even old me, who I just stepped up and did a free one when we started it, anybody can say, hey, let's do a Zoom session. Now, what do you do if you want to do one? It's been suggested that Michelle is our scheduling czar. Now, I'm going to go back to screen share here if I can figure out how to do it. Screen share. We have a forum called Suggestions, Comments, News, and Discussion. And in here, there is a Zoom announcement thread and a Zoom discussion thread. All you got to do, come to this thread and say, I want to do a Zoom session. Or you don't even have to do, I don't care how you do it, but this is already set up. We have the infrastructure here. You just say, I want to do a Zoom session on pronunciations of French words that I don't understand, or how to read Latin or something like that. And that's all it takes. So from here, it's been fun, folks. We hopefully will go on. Do y'all have any questions about this Zoom discussion thread? No.
No.
No. Well,
No.
I'm going to
But
stop sharing.
I just realized that I actually know something I can share. So maybe I'll sign up to do a Zoom sometime in the future.
Absolutely. Please.
No, I mean, I still feel like a newbie. I'm learning from this stuff. But when you were talking about pronouncing French, do you guys all know about Forvo?
Oops. Pardon me. There's my cat. Okay. Provo?
Forvo, Forvo.
No.
Uh-uh.
Okay, then that's I'll plan to do that. That's a pronunciation site where you can plug words in, and people have gone on there and recorded how to say them. It's great for place names and stuff in particular.
Right.
Well,
right.
and that happens a lot in
Oh.
LibriVox. We deal with Latin and Greek and
Oh, those Victorians love to just toss Greek in there like everybody reads it. I guess
well,
everybody did back then.
if you were anybody, you read Greek as a
All right.
schoolgirl. Well, folks, it's been fun. We won't have any more scheduled. I'm sure Michelle has agreed to be the to kind of to do the next one, and we'll figure it out what's going on. I
Maybe we'll
really
do something after the new year.
do what?
Maybe we'll do something after the new year.
Maybe. I mean, we're in December now. It's what can I say? Zoom. We're gonna zoom in. I have a lot of recording to do. I have my new setup. I'm excited about this. I don't want to unpack all the boxes. Can wait because I got a brand new science fiction story I'm going to be reading. I'm excited about it. One of my favorite authoresses, or whatever you call them. Okay. Guys, I like all of y'all. I hope to meet y'all around the forums. Anybody, any last comments?
Oh,
No,
we'll be together again. Don't worry.
I hope so. Because anybody that has one, I guarantee I'll be here. That's because I like it. Okay. I'm
Good night.
going.
Merry Christmas. Happy New Year.
Oh,
Merry
yeah.
Christmas.
Yeah.
Be
Happy
safe,
holidays.
everyone.
Yeah.
and happy Hanukkah.
Holidays.
That starts this week.
Yeah, that's true. Happy holidays and all.
5 beers, please.
You'll take 5 beers. All right. Ho, 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 Bill. Okay. Y'all stay safe. Okay.
All right,
You
take care.
too.
Bye.
Nice
Okay.
meeting
Good night.
everybody.
Bye now.
Bye-bye.
Nice meeting you.
Bye.
Let's see how I do this. End.
I have no idea.
I'm trying, folks.